Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal and we're live on a Sunday, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And I know that a number of the viewers have had a very stressful week, and we're going to be talking about that in a moment. But in the meantime, a very warm welcome to everybody. And if you haven't been here before, just to let you know, DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week where we talk about how we cope with things. And it's really important for us to make sure that you understand you're more than welcome to come and join us, and that it's okay to have stress and to feel it. It's okay to have feelings. We talk about that on Friday lunchtime. How important it is to have feelings and how to process it, and to understand that what you are feeling is on you. All right, that what you feel, nobody makes you feel anything. You feel something in reaction to something else. Very important lesson to learn. And then on Friday evenings, we talk about coping with life, where normally I'm doing some kitchen experiments here in my kitchen, just to give you some fun ideas on how to do things. But here we go with Sunday. Coping with stress. All my quotes today will be around health, and I will pretty sure that the regular viewers will know the reason for that is we are so grateful that Jodie made it through her operation this week and is here with us today. And for those of you who don't know, Jodie is our admin. And she's just done a wonderful job, and I'll update you on her in a second. I'll also update you on how Jeannie's house rebuild is going and the stress from that. It's amazing how much stress people have been under. And also, I will update you on my health issues this week, because I've had them too. Thomas Dekker said, sleep is that golden chain. Think about that. It's a golden chain that ties our health and our bodies together. How many of you believe you're getting enough sleep? And how many of you track your sleep to make sure it is the kind that is restorative? I definitely know that I need to be getting more sleep at the moment, and I'm going to be making some changes to my habits to make sure that that happens. And so feel free to call me on that one. For those of you who follow me and care about me, it is really important for me to be able to tell you that I have averaged the right amount of sleep. And I guess in order to be accountable, I can actually make sure you know where I'm at, what the benchmark is at the moment. No, wrong one. Let's just hold on 1 second. Right, at the last week, I only averaged 5.5 hours sleep a night. And that probably is contributing to the health problems that I've got. I'm pleased to report that last night I did get a full 7.25 hours sleep. So I'm going to continue to talk about this publicly so that you can hold me accountable. And if I don't come up with better sleep numbers, you will know I'm not spending enough time working on that. Yes, Jodie is also saying I'm really working on my sleep. I do track it on my fitness watch. I'm averaging about 6 hours. Well, you're doing better than I am then, Jodie. And so I'm going to make sure that I talk about it more often, because I need people to understand what is going on here. In terms of thoughts and prayers and viewer updates, I thought I would start with a really nice quote. And just let me get it up in front of me here so that I can share it with you properly. Bear with me a second. All right, this came from Meredith. And she said, and by the way, Meredith is not somebody whose name I can connect to a name that we see on the feed. So Meredith, whoever you are, We love you and thank you for this. Meredith said, I just wanted to thank you for making YouTube videos. I never seem to catch you live, but I always watch them later. And I usually watch them before I go, hang on one second, before I go to sleep. They have been very helpful for me to deal with the critical COVID patients. Thanks again, Meredith. And I, of course, wrote back and asked her, as you know I would, in what way? All right, she said that it had been helpful, but I wondered in what way. And so Meredith wrote back to me a little later and said, let me just get that one. I like how you talk about feelings and how it's okay to have them, but nobody can make us feel a certain way. That's on us. Watching COVID patients suffer and trying to help them has brought on a significant amount of stress and fear into my life. Your videos about coping with stress in particular have helped me sort some of those feelings. You also have a very calming voice, and that puts me at ease. Well, Meredith, I want to tell you, I think you've heard me say it time and time again. If what I do brings a positive impact on any of the viewers, then I know it's worth doing and I will continue to do it. And with obvious tears in my eyes, you keep up that good work that you're doing, Meredith. I know it's heartbreaking and soul-destroying, and I am certain even more so, because the people you are seeing now are probably people that just didn't want to get vaccinated. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a minute. Happy birthday to Misty, we're seeing here. Jeannie's saying, where are we here? Misty turns 6 on the 15th, so we're a couple of days short. We'll make sure we put that in our list, won't we, Jodie? So, you know, when I get a comment like that in my mailbox, you can imagine that it actually makes my day so much better. And, you know, it's like sometimes, especially this time of the year, I don't mind telling you, Meredith and anybody else that has, let me know that what we do has made a difference. About this time of year, I always question, should I continue to do it? Because it's summer and we don't get as many people. And then I think I'm not doing it right or whatever. And then I keep thinking, what if I stopped and I was, and Meredith hadn't been able to listen to me? And that is what I've always said. If it helps just one person, it's got to be worth doing. So some updates from Jeannie. She is in the room with us at the moment. So Jeannie, she had a terrible week. What she said was she wasn't there on Friday because when we got to the home, this is the home she's about to return to after the fire. Hang on a second. Let me just get this right. The alarm was blaring. We called ADT, but they couldn't stop the alarm. Finally, they said they'd send a rep, and meanwhile, I'm not going to mention the name of the town where she lives, the fire department trucks came, lights flashing. They found the alarm in the attic, and it came on because of the extreme heat of 103 degrees. Well, I'm pleased to say, when I read that, Jeannie, I was thinking I was pleased that mine didn't come on at 103 because, as you know, mine came on, I had up to 120 in my greenhouse window here. So that is amazing. But also the good news from Jeannie, for those of you who've been tracking her journey, is that she's going to have the countertops put in by the end of July, not by August. Yay. And I'm pretty certain that feels wonderful, Jeannie. So well done. And we are so happy for you. I wanted to again make sure that the viewers know that our Lauren down in Tasmania is has become a great auntie. But, she's been sending me the cutest pictures of her cuddling her new grandnephew, Archie, and snuggle time. But at the same time, she is busy studying and doing work for her university course. So I have to, I made it my mission in her life to help her stay on course with the studying. There she is, great nephew. I think I did say that. I could be wrong. But Lauren, thank you for your humor, because every time I see pictures of you and Archie together, I go, did she finish her units for uni? That's my job, right? As your, I don't know what to call myself, like you're sort of like your manager of studying. And I was thinking, what a nice reward. Yes, I've done my uni work, so I can do the cuddles with Archie. And that is wonderful. By the way, thoughts and prayers also this week for a new viewer that joined us on Friday, Crystal, who is struggling with kidney cancer. And I just want her to know, whether she's in the room or not, or just listening or whatever, but she is part of the family now. And anytime that we can be there to support her, she just needs to show up in some way. And when I say show up, either write to me at dearmamasal.com and let me know what's going on, or come into one of the broadcasts, because you have a whole support group of people here if you want them. But if we don't know what's going on, we don't know how to support you. Jodie says, I am Lauren's academic fairy godmother. And Lauren says she likes that. So that's good. So if there are any birthdays this week of any of the regular viewers, please let me know, because I don't see any in my database. But doesn't mean that that's not true. And the reason I say that is because, we lost the database some time ago, and now I'm trying to rebuild it. And in terms of the welcome and thanks and viewer updates, big thanks yet again to our wonderful viewer, Lynn, who is also anonymous to me. But she is the one that's been making these really fun thumbnails. They're the little pictures that go on with the warnings that I'm about to do a broadcast. And so I don't know about you, but she does a wonderful job. And it's so funny, because she said to me, you do such good ones yourself. And I'm going, yes, but yours, why would I even bother? Yeah, Jeannie's saying wonderful thumbnail sketches. Jodie's busy giving a round of applause. She spells it with an E, Jodie. I know it's a picky thing, because she can't see you just wrote it without one. But I know you to know that you would be horrified to think that you didn't spell it with an E when that is the way that she spelt it, in case she's watching. Oh, she won't see it on the replay. Anyway, all right. So, but if she's watching now, you would want to know. I know that, so I'm going to tell you. Jodie's a bit OCD about things, as am I, on certain things. I'm going to talk Christmas quickly. I know you're all rolling your eyes and going, why are you talking Christmas song? The reason I'm talking Christmas now is I don't want to be stressed out about Christmas this year. So I am probably about quarter of the way through buying presents, and I am about halfway through making the Christmas cards that I want to make. And I do want to give a heads up. I did a test run on a couple of cards going from Canada into the States, and without the Christmas rush, it is taking over 3 weeks. So I want you all to get a heads up on that one. Be prepared. Make sure that if you've got cards going overseas, that you probably leave a good amount of time, like 6 weeks, I would think, minimum, for cards to get there. And I don't know about you, is it better to get a Christmas card early or get it late? What do you think, as somebody who, first of all, do you still get Christmas cards, and do you love getting them? And secondly, would you rather have one early rather than one that is late? Because I think that people forget the impact of a Christmas card. And we're getting so lazy. When I say lazy, we're sending e-cards. And I know that it's better because you're pretty sure it's going to get there and you can do it at the last minute and all the rest of it. But I'm thinking, why not do both? Yes, Jodie's saying early Christmas cards are wonderful because you have more time to display them. Yeah. And Jeannie, always that balance thing. Jeannie is saying, I love receiving cards early or late. Yes. I was really sad that it took 3 weeks for my sister's card for her 80th to get there. But the impact that it had, I was glad that I did it anyway, rather than send an e-card. We were talking on Friday about it's a good idea to drink a gallon of water a day. Has anybody been trying to do that? I am on to my second bottle now. So I need 3 of these, I think. That's right. And this is my first one. I managed to get half a bottle down when I'm taking my meds. And if you notice, I'm drinking, this is licorice spice flavored water. I just put a tea bag in. I've got this brewing. Got the. Anyway, I've got this brewing. Hang on a second. I don't know if you can see the tea bag in there, but this will be ready for tomorrow. And so this is the water that I am trying to put into my body. This isn't 3 bottles here. This is only 2. So just to give you an idea. Actually, I think that's 1.5, but I could be wrong. So here I am, and no more drinking coffee during the broadcast. You're just going to hear me go chug-a-lug a lot more. All right, so Jodie's saying, I had a gallon a day, and yes, I was able to achieve that frequency, but now I'll be working my way to 48 ounces. All right, so Jodie, in terms of her update, all right, is just going a little bit now. And I don't know how I managed that, Jodie. How did I miss you? Duh. Well, who cares how I missed you? And you know I will not going to miss you. Jodie, give me the update for today, if you will. The update that I have is I know that your pain level is down. I know that your blood pressure is down, and I want to talk to that in a minute. When I say down, lower than it was. And basically, how are you doing mobility-wise? That is what I would like to keep a track of. How are you? Still able? I know that it must be painful because of the work they did in your stomach area, and they shifted everything around. And as somebody who's had that happen a couple of times, I know the problems with it. Believe you me. So just let me know how that's going. And I'm just going to carry on while you type the update, Jodie. How about this one? All that really matters is that the people you love are happy and healthy. Everything else is just sprinkles on the sundae. Paul Walker said that. And I would say, if you don't want to be healthier for you, do it for the people who love you. And I'm pretty certain that some of you, have made major changes because of your children or grandchildren. And look at me, right? I gave up smoking because of going down to meet Juliana. And think of that, after a lifetime of trying to quit and not succeeding. The weekend I went down to meet Juliana for the first time, was the motive I needed to quit completely. That was amazing. All right, here's Jodie's update. Jodie's saying the pain is down to about a 3 or 4 out of 10. I'm taking more steps with my care. I had a real shower today, which was great. no sign of hunger. I'm averaging about 300 calories and 70 grams of protein a day. The goal is 300 to 600. All right, calories. Now, remember that she cannot eat anything. Right? That's the important thing to remember. Right now, she is not allowed to eat anything. So I'm pretty certain that you all want to know, how is she putting that much protein and that many calories in by not eating? And Jeannie's saying, bravo, Jodie. Still in our prayers. Yes, in all of ours. As are you, Jeannie. Hi, Jenny. Good to see you. I'm doing well, thank you. So, Jodie, give the viewers some sort of idea. You are on a diet that keeps you alive without eating anything. I think we all need to hear that, right? Because what you really realize is, if you want to stay alive, you don't have to find food. You need to find liquids that have proteins in them. So, so it's just like you must be onto broth by now, if I understand it correctly. I'll let you tell us, Jodie, rather than guess. How about this one? The doctors won't make you healthy. Nutritionists won't make you slim. Teachers will not make you smart. And gurus will not make you calm. Mentors won't make you rich. Trainers won't make you fit. Ultimately, you have to take responsibility and save yourself. How many of you are going, amen to that? All right, so Jenny is asking me, what causes me stress? I think I interpreted that correctly. I am about to talk about the fact that I didn't even know I was stressed, Jenny. I would have said that I was doing pretty well with everything. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, so just hold on. It's on my list of things to talk about. Jodie is managing to put the good protein and calories in by eating yogurt and soup with protein powder. Low sodium V8 is on her list. And sugar-free Powerade. Wow, isn't that amazing? Oh, Jeannie, that is such good news. Jeannie's giving us an update. You remember last week we were suggesting that she let her husband York work on his man cave to keep him doing stuff while she did the important stuff to her. And she's saying, thanks to you, York got his man cave fixed up, and I've been fixing up the kitchen and the bathroom. And you stopped Third World War. Well done. You see, Jeannie, that's called smart. And, I had, as I think I started to tell you last week, Jeannie, I had a guy that I knew, and he came to me, surprisingly enough, just before they moved. And he said to me, Sal, you got to help me. My wife is a control freak, and we're about to move. How can I be of best use to her? And I said, I cannot believe that you came to me with that question, but I am so honored that you did. And I will make sure when you are ready that your wife knows that you loved her that much. And what I said to him was, if she is a control freak, then she has set ways in which she wants certain rooms to be. And if you really think about it, we women are absolute control freaks about a lot of our environment. And so what I did was to tell him how best to play into that tendency if he wanted to. And, he just needed to keep going back and saying, what's the next thing you would like me to do? Not what he wanted to do. What's the next thing you would like me to do? And then I said, if it starts to get too stressful, if you have to, pick her up and take her down to the local ice cream store or the diner or whatever, and make her take a break. Because, she's probably, if she's a control freak, also A-type personality, and probably also going to work herself to a standstill. And, the most incredible thing was that he contacted me the following week after they'd moved and to thank me. And he said it was the most enjoyable move they had ever done. And yes, right in the middle of the day, he picked her up and literally said, stop, we're going out. No, I've got to do, you're going to stop, we're going out to eat. And he said they went and they sat with their toes in the water, eating their ice creams. And he said, it was such fun to do. And it's the first time that moving like that has been fun. Jenny's updating and saying tomorrow, John, that's her son, I believe, or York's son, and York will put together the bed frame. The countertop template has been done too. Yeah, that's good. We too have been going out for ice cream a couple of times. Good. It's really important, Jeannie, as you do this, to remember, and I have to, I'm not unpacked yet, just so you know. I keep reminding myself, I've got the rest of my life really to unpack. I remind myself that on a daily basis. However, you do know I've got the important things unpacked now, or the ones that I know about. And I still haven't finished dealing with the insurance people. I've been back a season now. So, it's just all going to take time, and that's the way I'm doing it. Do I like ice cream? I love ice cream, but unfortunately I'm pre-diabetic, so I have to be careful of it. A healthy attitude is contagious, but don't wait to catch it from others. Be a carrier. Tom Stoppard said that. Don't you love that? A healthy attitude is contagious, but don't wait to catch it from somebody else, right? Be a carrier. I thought that was so true in terms of our mental health. Let's keep a good attitude whenever we can. Now, I had a bit of frustration this week that I thought it caused me stress. I was in the pharmacy picking up some medication. I'm going to talk about it in a second, but picking up some medication. And when I got back to my car, some bozo, for want of a better name, had parked their car so close to my driver's side door that I couldn't open it more than this much. I didn't even bother to try because I could see that I'd have to breathe in between the two cars. And if that is true, there's no way I'm going to open my driver's side door. How uncaring was that? And then, being who I am, I tried to think, what could be the possibility for that? Maybe they were somebody that needed the extra room themselves and didn't realize how close they had got to my car. And so you would have all loved to have seen it. In order to get into my car, which I think you all know by now is a Jeep, a big one, I had to get in the driver's side. Imagine this picture, people. And I then had to get my legs over the gear shift area. And then I had to pray that the steering wheel column was pretty strong, because it had to help me pull myself over that area so that I could drive the car. Get over the hump. You're right, Jeannie. That's what it was. Yeah. And so, it was just like, really? Now, there was part of me, I don't mind saying, I've got this little part of me that some of you know comes out every now and then. There was part of me that said, why don't you just now park your car and T-bone it to the back of their car? In other words, I come out and then sit like this so they can't leave. How many of you going, yeah, I would have done it. But you know what I said? Where is that going to help me? I'm going to be hot and I'm going to be angry and they're going to be upset. And, if they're the sort of person that doesn't care about the other person to start with, why would that help? So I just went, I could feel those feelings, but I didn't act on them. I just went home and carried on with my life. Does that make sense to anybody? Doing that would have just created more stress, not less. And I was really thankful that I was able to back out without touching their car, because it got a bit close. I don't mind telling you. They obviously thought I had better driving skills than I did. I thought this was a beautiful quote, and it came from Nyasha this week. You remember how I said it's really strange how at this time of the year, I'm always part of my brain goes, should I continue Dear Mama Sal? And then, I wait to see what happens. And, all these quotes came in this week that made me go, okay, I guess I'll continue. Nyasha sent me one that said, and, to see what God has revealed to me as I started to be patient and proactive. All thanks to you, Sal. I'd be forever grateful, because if it were not for you, hang on a second, I would not have sought help, and my mom wouldn't have revealed the condition that she has and the reason for it to her doctors. And it's our pleasure, Yasha. It's not just me, you know that. It's a group of us here, but it is our pleasure. And sometimes it can be a one line that we say here that helps somebody, and it can have an impact on their health in a meaningful way, as it has done with Nyasha. I noticed that when I was baking bread, that it wasn't baking very well in my toaster oven, and I couldn't quite understand why. And then I decided, I've got that nifty meat thermometer, and I decided maybe I'll just put it in there and find out how hot does my toaster oven get. And I found out it doesn't make it past 350 degrees Fahrenheit these days. So no wonder my bread wasn't cooking in the time allowed. Duh. So now I've started cooking my bread in my halogen, or, rather than use the great big oven. I don't believe in doing that. Anybody got any problems this week that you want to discuss? This would be a good time. Your health is what you make of it. Everything you do and think either adds to the vitality, energy, and spirit you possess, or it takes away. Anne Wigmore said that. I'm going to read it again because it is so important. Your health is what you make of it. Everything you do and think either adds to the vitality, energy, and spirit you possess, or it takes away from it. One of the things that I was so surprised at was the fact that, I had a health issue that I didn't know about. All right, so Jeannie is saying, is anybody aware that Mickey D's, that's McDonald's, offers caramel ice cream sundaes? Though they don't advertise them. No, I did not know that, and I'm sorry to hear that, because I will have to stay away. Because, I am certain they're not good for me. But what a wonderful thing. Maybe I will do a drive-by and just have one day, just for the fun of it. Yeah, I'm certain I love it too. That's my problem. It's not that I won't love it, it's that I will. Uh, you're talking to somebody who cannot go into Costco because I love things in Costco. So I know better than to go in there. Under new habits, I keep seeing these ads. I don't know if you have, for these not dryer sheets, washing powder sheets. Have you guys seen that? Where they're making now instead of buying a big jug of laundry detergent, which is mostly water, instead of buying a big box of laundry detergent, you can now get laundry detergent that is in strips this big. Now think about how much you're saving the environment by those, all right? Because, to all the water that they have in those jugs, that costs a lot to transport, a lot of plastic I won't buy them in the plastic things anymore, unless I need them. I need the plastic for recycling for some reason. But, it's just like, think about that. So of course, I've started an experiment. You're not surprised. Do you want to see what I'm doing? What a silly question. Of course you do. Hang on. So what I'm doing is taking my dryer sheets and recycling them, okay? And I'm soaking them in powdered washing powder. So that's the solution, okay? And then this lot is already drying, nearly dry now. See that? Of course Jodie's going, oh, you started an experiment. No. Of course I did, Jodie. But here we go. So the question is, if it's just a regular load, but mostly what I call a rinse load. Do you know what I mean? Some loads are just what are rinse loads. And I will just throw one in. And if it's a wash load, whites and things, I will sometimes put 2 or 3 in. But how simple is this? And it's reusing my dryer sheets. So I love it. And so far, my clothes are coming out pretty darn clean. And I'm probably using 1/8 of the amount of washing powder because of it. Just so you know. And I want to give a reminder for those of you who weren't here at the Friday broadcast. If you are doing your own homemade anything, washing powder or dishwashing powder, please make sure that you clean your machines regularly with vinegar. Because most of the stuff you're likely to put in, has some oil base in it, and therefore you will have an oily residue in your machines, and you want to get rid of that. So how do you do it? You just literally run your machine with a couple of cups of vinegar in it, and then do a rinse after that. Let it do one full cycle as hot as you possibly can with a couple of cups of vinegar, and then the second one. Luckily, vinegar is really cheap. And then this, after that's done, just do another run just to rinse it off. And you're probably saying, well, that's a waste of water, Well, quite honestly, you will be saving so much by making your own powders that the extra wash load, just put it on a regular wash. You don't have to do a huge, great, deep one. Just let it run through. You're basically trying to wash the drum and the pipes out. And if you do it once, the more regularly you do it, the less likely you are to have a problem. So actually, if I kept these out in the sunshine area, which is here in the kitchen, they'd be dry. But I started this last week, and look at these. These are already done, dry. And they've just been sitting in my laundry room. How many of you going, only some? Now, here's another thing. Are any of you having a bit of problem and stress maybe when you go to get in your car because it's so hot? And if so, obviously those of you like Lauren in the Southern Hemisphere, this isn't a problem at the moment. But for those of us now hitting the heat waves, I thought I would share something with you that I didn't know, but it makes a lot of sense. I think I once told you that before you get into the car, open the door and don't get in. And you will see that heat wave come out of your car. Some of you will have seen that. But here's a trick that I read about this week that I thought, I need to share that. What the trick said was, when you've opened your car door, take the passenger side and drop the window by about 6 to 8 inches. Just drop it down by about 6 to 8 inches. Then take the driver's door and just open and close it, not totally close it, but just go like this with it. It will force the air in and out through the inside of your car. In fact, if you open up all the windows a little bit and do it, what it does is it forces the air to circulate around your car, and it will cool a lot more quickly, and so that when you get in, you're not going to burn yourself. How many of you going, that sounds like a plan? I could do that. The Buddha said, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, and faithfulness the best relationship. That touched my soul. I don't mind telling you that health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, and faithfulness the best relationship. And I was thinking, Jodie, this time last week, you were getting ready to go to hospital to have this operation. Obviously, we are all delighted that you came through it so well. But what I wanted to ask you is, a week later, I'm pretty sure that by now, there's most of those drugs are out of your system. And what amazes me is that you've been able to just carry on your life. From our perspective, you're still here. You were here for both the Friday broadcasts, and that is a dedication I will never be able to thank you for. But I also know better than to tell you not to do it, because that's none of my business, right? It is really important for people to understand that everybody will do life their way. And I know that when I have stuff happen to me, I'm inclined to do things very quickly afterwards. It's part of my healing process. And so, Jodie, I totally understood that you would do whatever you wanted to do, whether I told you to or not. You got that mentality. So now let's get on to a little bit onto what's happened to me, just so that you guys are aware. To my shock, when I went to see my doctor, I found out that I have elevated blood pressure. All right, and the reason I want to talk about it is because I think it is important that we do. Hypertension, because that's what the fancy name for it is, hypertension is called the silent killer. Now, I am pretty certain that you guys watching me week in, week out would have said that I am a pretty zen person. All right, I don't get too stressed out about anything one way or the other. And I have, for the longest time, had a blood pressure, even at my age, at somewhere around 130/70. And every time I had it checked, it was 131/70 or 128/70, or sometimes, but it was in that range. And so it was, to my horror, that when I had my blood pressure checked at the doctor's, I heard that it was 150 something over 85. And I went, what? And I was put on blood pressure medication. So I thought that we might want to talk about that. It's called the silent killer because usually it has no warning signs or symptoms. And many people, such as myself, didn't know that I had it. Now, the thing that worried me was I didn't know how long I had had it. I realized that I hadn't had a blood pressure check for over a year. Since COVID. Why? I hadn't been in to see my doctor. And strangely enough, my doctor hadn't asked me to get my blood pressure checked, either by going to a pharmacy or getting a machine and checking it myself. And I realize now that that was a mistake that I quite honestly, I think was missed, both on my side and his. I'm not going to blame him totally for it because I'm a fairly smart cookie. Why did I not think to check my blood pressure after all that stress I had been under? I'm going to sneeze. Didn't you hate that? Maybe I can stop it. So, I'm going to talk a bit more about it, but in the meantime, Jodie's saying I had every motivation to get back to normal as soon as possible. And one of my greatest joys in life is Dear Mama Sal and the friendship with you, Sal. Well, I want to tell you something that I know of what you speak, right? Because it is the things that motivate us that get us well. In the days when I was a smoker, and I've read this time and time again, smokers are the best patients in hospital. Why? They are out of bed so fast so they can go and have a cigarette, right? They don't lie around in bed very long. They need to get up and out and go and have a cigarette. And so, I look at it and go, I no longer smoke, and it must be coming up 10 years now that I haven't. But, it is about, I understand that motivation, and you will always do the things you love, Jodie. And that's why I never bother to say to you, please don't do it, just rest. And I also, because I've had operations that are extremely painful, I also know that sometimes doing something like this is a great distraction away from pain. And so, I trust you, and you're a big enough adult, as far as I'm concerned, that if you weren't able to do it, you would have let me know. It was just that simple. And you also knew that I did it many years without you, and it won't be the same necessarily, but I also knew that you could do it. That I could do it on my own, and you knew I could do it on my own. I would prefer not to. Now, I've got a question for you all in terms of COVID. And I'd like you to be as honest as you can about this because it's important to understand this. I have somebody in my life who has told me that they are not going to let anybody, now that we're allowed to bring people into our homes again, they're not going to allow anybody into their home unless they are carrying a vaccine card and they can prove they've had both vaccines. What is your reaction to that? And do you think you have the legal right to do that? And my third question would be, why would you do that? So what they're doing is they're inviting people to visit and entertaining, but you don't get in the house unless you can show you've had both vaccines. Jeannie's saying, sounds like this person is extremely distrusting. Yes, she did say that she fears that a couple of her friends are saying that they've been vaccinated, but she doesn't think they have been. Jodie's saying, I don't believe it's legal to demand the vaccine card to be presented. This person actually checked it with her lawyer, and her lawyer said she has every right. Interesting, right? Just so you know, legally, you have every right to do that. You are a private person, and this is your private home. You get to make the rules. Does that make sense? Just because somebody else doesn't do it doesn't mean that you don't do it. Now, it's pretty obvious that she's going to lose a few friends because of this. All right. No doubt about it. But what I said in response was the only friends you're going to lose are people who haven't been vaccinated. Obviously, the people who've been vaccinated, it's not going to affect them. So the only friends you're going to lose are the ones that haven't been vaccinated, i.e., they cannot prove that they have been. So I said to her, when you really think about it, are these the people you want as friends? Now, I've got more questions about this for you. The question I haven't asked, and I'm going to, is why? Let's see what Jeannie says. Jeannie says, my hairdresser says she has some clients who refuse to get vaccinated, but wonders how she can challenge them. This is her business, so it seems different. I would have her check it with her lawyer. Jeannie, no doubt about it. Get a legal opinion on that. Don't take my word for it or anybody else's, right? Jodie is saying, even if they were to present a card, who's to say that it's a fraudulent card? It's not a fraudulent card. A very good thing. I have another question, though. Think about this, people. What do you gain? If we know that the vaccine doesn't stop you from spreading it, the vaccine stops you from ending up in serious ICU, wooden box type stuff. That's what it does. It doesn't prevent you from spreading it. So where's the gain? I really thought about it, and I wondered, why? What is the motivation behind this if you know that the vaccine doesn't stop you spreading it? In other words, everybody in her home can still be spreading it. And, if somebody comes in with the D variant, they can still spread it. And if somebody comes in without having a vaccine, the only person at serious risk is that person. Does that make sense? Yeah, Jodie's saying maybe it's a psychological thing. Yeah. And so I'm going to carry on asking the questions because maybe that person hasn't thought it through that deeply, right? They just, for some reason think if you haven't been vaccinated, you're not safe. Well, nobody is safe. I can be spreading it without knowing it right now. Do you all agree? I don't know whether I have COVID or have had it. All right, so Jeannie's saying, my daughter in Texas is upset. Many young children are now getting the variant, and they may all be in school together. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the saddest thing, isn't it? I can't go to my chiropractor, or I can go to my chiropractor, actually. On that logic, I can go to my chiropractor, but I know that she's against vaccines generally. And so from that perspective, I realize now that this is a mirror turning on me, because part of the reason I haven't gone is because I know she doesn't believe in vaccines. And also somewhere in my disjointed mind, I thought that put me at greater risk. But no, it doesn't, does it? If I've had both vaccines and if I am careful, it doesn't put me at greater risk. Or does it? What do you think? So to me, I want us to continue to talk about this as we go back to a more normal way of life, because I think there's still going to be many stressful aspects to this pandemic. I know that the numbers are rising again. I don't know about you, but I wasn't scared or surprised that the numbers went up after the July 4th weekend. Were any of you? Did you all expect them to go up? If so, then you got a pretty healthy look on life. When you had that many people getting together for July 4th weekends, what were the chances of people ending up in hospital? Great, but which ones, right? And what we're seeing time and time again now is the majority, not all, but the majority, like 90-something% of the people who are hospitalized now have not had vaccines. Yes, and Jeannie is confirming that, right? In many states now, the people who are getting very ill are non-vaccinated people. Not all of them, though, I've noticed, right? But it's a high percentage. It's like ridiculously high, like in the 90s. Like 90-something% of the people who are now in hospital have not had vaccines. Yes, and Jodie's saying, yep, I expected them to go up. Yeah, because you were prepared, not scared, right? You were prepared that you knew everybody was going to get together. Everybody was, they're smart, supposed smart people. This doesn't affect me. It's not a real thing. It's a hoax. Doesn't matter. They're the people sitting in hospital today. So those people, funnily enough, who said, I don't care if we're allowed to get together, I'm still going to be careful, I'm still going to have both the shots, and I'm still going to wear my mask, and I'm still going to, these are the people who are going to survive this. And I have learned now, I'm going into shops a bit more than I was, and I carry my mask as a bracelet. And sometimes I carry one on each hand, just in case one breaks. And just so that I know I've got them. And I still carry hand sanitizer as part of me, on my keychain. What else? I'm doing what I can. I make sure I keep my glasses on. Why? I believe that it just gives me one extra layer of protection in terms of my eyes. How many of you are still washing all your fruit and vegetables that come in? And Judy's saying, we're so happy to get our shots, thanks to the former President Trump's initial efforts. Okay, so that's, I understand that is your understanding, and that's, that is great. I was so sorry, that Canada was unable to get a lot of its initial shots because of what happened. Because a lot of the stuff that was initially due to come to Canada got rerouted to the States. But luckily, we still, touch wood, have got it under pretty good control. And yes, he did work with the companies, or his people did work with the companies to get the vaccines done. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I also think he did a great job, personally, turning some of the factories, to get into that war mode, some of the factories that were producing other things to start, producing hand sanitizers and doing all those sort of things. And I think it is wonderful that, but I also have to say, Jeannie, seeing as you're giving him the credit, I also have to tell you, I think he was slow. I have to say that. I think he was slow in getting that going. I'm glad he did it, and I'm glad that he got the vaccine, organized that soon. But, if you think about it, it wasn't just him. It was the world. All right? The United States was not the only person that was doing that, right? Germany was doing it. The Brits were doing it. They were making sure. And if you think about it, Pfizer far as I know, is a German company. So the effort was happening in Europe to get that going. But we are all very grateful. And for those of us who've had 2 vaccines, very grateful. For those of us, it's interesting now, we need to keep check to see whether we're going to need a booster or not. And so be prepared for that. And don't be upset if you need a booster. Do it. Do whatever you can to protect yourself. Very, very important now. So when you look at all that has been happening, I want to go back to the high blood pressure thing. I am not particularly surprised that I ended up with high blood pressure. I am, in a way, a little bit upset that I didn't think about it. So to me, it was like, why did I not think of that? But I didn't. I didn't think of it. So because I didn't, I want to make sure that you do. So my question to you all is, when did you last have your blood pressure checked? Needless to say, I now have a machine. And that machine is now, something I can check my blood pressure with every day. I have now become accountable for making sure I know what my blood pressure is. And why I hadn't had that before, I cannot tell you. I guess because my blood pressure had never been an issue, except quite a while ago, about 10 years ago, it was an issue. I got on to the medications, and then I had to be taken off them because my blood pressure plummeted so much. And so now the reason that I'm taking, that I bought the machine and I'm taking my own blood pressure every day is I want to make sure I know when that starts to plummet again, because last time I didn't know for too long. Well, Jodie, being Jodie, says, I didn't think of it either, and I apologize to you, Saul, after all the stress you endured with the fire. Yeah, Jodie, why don't you take that on? Like really, that's going to be so productive for your recovery. Is that bag of other people's garbage, really getting heavy? But I hear the love in that, Jodie. Ginny's saying, are you feeling better about it? My blood pressure was so high right before my operation, and it goes down fairly quickly. Yes, Jodie's was, I thought mine was high until I heard what Jodie's was. Isn't that funny how it all becomes relative? I thought mine was high, and then I heard what Jodie's was, and she wasn't complaining, of course. But Jodie's is already starting to come down, right? She's doing the right thing. So of course, Jodie, being the mother hen that she is, said to me, Sal, you need to take breaks during the day and just not do anything. And I'm going, okay, fine. Okay. So yesterday, I challenged myself, could I sit down for an hour and not do anything? I allowed myself to put on, Snowflake Falls or whatever it's called on the W channel, all the love stories on there, because I thought that would be nice and relaxing. I thought it perhaps wasn't a good idea to put on some really, gritty type binge watching stuff, which is what I would normally do. I thought, no, you need some of, the only prince that's left in the whole world is, that sort of stuff. And so I started to do that. And 10 minutes in, I was on my feet again. And then I stopped and went, your goal is to focus on not doing anything for an hour. That is your goal. You have just lost a point. But I have to admit that the reason I needed to get up was I needed to go to the washroom. And as some of you know, I am also presently on diuretics. That's to stop the swelling that I have on my lower extremities, my feet and ankles and are pretty badly swollen because of the heat. And so I'm on a diuretic. And one of the things the diuretic does, it makes you want to pee every 10 minutes. So I just went, okay, you don't have to go -1 if you get up because you need to pee. It's a better way than the alternative, if you all get what I mean. And so, but it was so strange. Jeannie's saying you could read poetry for 15 minutes. Yes. I actually found that, I could put on my earbuds and listen to a book for an hour. But what I found was once I got over the initial, oh, this is so difficult, I then decided on my way back from the washroom, I was going to get a plate of snacks. In other words, I didn't want to have to get up because I was hungry, I wanted a snack of something. I made sure I took a full bottle of water with me. And then I said, okay, that's it. And do you know, the next thing I knew, I'd been there for 2 hours, not one. And even though my earlier blood pressure had been 140 over 80 something, when I did that 2 hours doing nothing, and then before I took my blood pressure, I turned on the relaxation module in my on my watch, and the deep breathing thing. I did that, and then I took my blood pressure, and it was 129 over something. So we know how to get it down. Today, of course, I was busy because it's Sunday. I need to get things done, tidy up the kitchen, get the broadcast ready. It was back in 140s. But again, not as high as Jodie's. So now I am not going out to dinner after the broadcast. And do you know why? What I'm going to do after the broadcast is to take out one of those meals that we cooked on Friday and then do exactly what I did. Oh, I will go out and water the flowers. I will do that because we haven't had rain in the longest time. But after that, I am grabbing, one of those meals and warming it up. And then I am going to do exactly the same thing this evening, which is, as far as possible, do nothing. And it is a challenge. That is a challenge. Now, I wanted to go out for Chinese and chit chat and do all of that. And I think, no, you know something? You need to look after you right now. And part of looking after you. Now, there was part of me went, yes, but you will laugh and that's relaxing and you will do. I went, Sal, just don't worry about that. The less you do, the better, until you've got your blood pressure back under control. When I say the less that you do, but, I don't need to be being funny or doing, feeling that I ought to be doing something. I need to just take it easy. And imagine that I didn't know. I didn't know that was going on. The silent killer. Yes, Jodie's saying the sodium could have been an issue too. I agree with you. That first one that I took, because it was high 2 weeks in a row. The first one that I know that I'd had half a bag of chips the day before. So I deserved that day. But, a week later, it was still up. And I definitely had not repeated that bad habit. So what did I know? There is something not right. However, I've managed to correct it before, and I will correct it again. And the Chinese proverb, and I think we said this on Friday, and I'd like to repeat it, is when the heart is at ease, the body is healthy. And so do whatever you can. First of all, I want you all to make sure that you and your loved ones all have your blood pressure checked. I am pretty certain I am not the only one that clean forgot to have their blood pressure taken during the time of the pandemic. I am just amazed that my doctor didn't insist on it. That really stuns me. And I'm certain he's cursing himself for that. And rightfully so. And how about this one? Good health and good sense are two of life's greatest blessings. I did not have the good, I can blame my doctor, but why would I? I'm an adult. I should have, and beating up on myself is not going to change anything. And don't get me wrong on this one, but I will not do that to myself again. I will not give myself that risk again. And so please be aware of this, and be aware that I don't think my doctor perhaps is the only one that didn't insist that we did. And it doesn't matter how old or young you are, because as far as I know, this can, affect any age group. And so it's a good idea to have everybody check. And I've noticed, I said to my doctor, well, and this was another thing. He said to me, well, come back in a week and I'll take it again. And I said, no. And he said, what? I said, it's a 3/4 of an hour drive for me to come to visit you. Why would I drive 3/4 of an hour there and 3/4 of an hour back again for you to check my blood pressure? Let me buy the machine. Or initially I said, let me go to the pharmacy. It's 10 minutes away. And he said, no, they don't do that anymore because of COVID. Well, guess what? I checked with my pharmacy and they are doing it again. But that was after I bought the machine. Yes, and Jeannie's saying, please don't give yourself the anger turned inwards. No, if you notice, I corrected myself pretty quickly on that one. Thank you, Jeannie, though, for knowing that that's what causes depression, right? Is dealing in what I should have done. Yeah, that's bound to not be a healthy thing. But I don't know if you noticed, Jeannie, as those words came, I couldn't close my lips fast enough. Those words came out, old tapes came out, you're stupid, you should have done that. Yeah, shooting all over myself is not going to help at all. And so I immediately corrected it. But I thank you for caring that much. Very important. So, and I know that you can be a nag. That's a healthy nag as far as I'm concerned. There is a Buddhist saying that the secret of health for both body and mind is not to mourn for the past, not to worry for the future, not to anticipate trouble, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. Live in the present. I cannot change what I didn't do. And beating up on myself about it is not going to change anything. And I cannot correct my blood pressure unless I do the right things. By the way, I think, we're going to be talking more about it, but I'm drinking, as you know, a lot more water. I'm also really making sure that I stop a couple of times a day, as difficult as it is for me. And the difficulty is I feel lazy. And I know I'm not. And Jodie will tell you, I'm a whirling dervish, but it's not that I just feel that if I don't do anything, that I'm being lazy. And it's almost, even when I relax, I'm relaxing at the silhouette cutting machine, making Christmas cards or something. But then I said to myself, Sal, that is not relaxing. That's doing something. So the trick is, can I do nothing except sit and watch television? Even when I sit and watch television, I'm pretty sure you guys know that I'm inclined to multitask. I'm filing accounts or doing something else. And it's just like, no, can you just sit and do nothing? So it's my new challenge habit, right? Do I love myself enough to do that? And if the answer is yes, I am pretty certain you will all agree that my blood pressure should start coming down pretty quickly between taking the meds and doing the right things. Not eating too much salt and not, doing the wrong things. It should come down pretty quickly. Should being the operative word. And you know, I know that I take more sodium than perhaps is ideal because I do still eat cheese. But to me, I have the hair and nails to prove it too. So getting me off cheese is going to be a really difficult thing in my life. How about this one? Thich Nhat Hanh, who I quote quite often, said, "Keeping your body healthy is an expression of gratitude to the whole cosmos, the trees, the clouds, everything. Keeping your body healthy." And so, have I been walking? Have I been taking that relaxation time? I'm pretty sure that that would be considered relaxation. Jodie saying cheese and bacon are two of my favorite food groups. Yes. Um, Cheese and steak are two of my favorite food groups. Yeah. Actually, I haven't had steak in a long time. So I'm pretty certain that it would be considered relaxation to walk, as long as I wasn't trying to do anything stupid like power walk or, you know, worry about how much time I take, but just to go walk after the sun has gone down a little bit, you know, when it's cooler, for half an hour, I'm certain is not a bad thing. And for those of you who have been through this process, let me know. And the other thing I was thinking is this probably be a really good idea to take some time to find some Carol Burnett type replays on Netflix or even YouTube and literally laugh myself silly for an hour. Yes, Jeannie, that's what I'm thinking. And thank you for seeing that as well. Jeannie's saying when you walk, you can relax, you can pray, you can de-stress. I actually like listening to a book because that keeps my mind from thinking about other things. You know, my concentration is on walking and on listening. And I'm not thinking about, well, when I get back, I need to do this, 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 and this. That's when, and I find the time goes more quickly when I'm listening to a book. Ah, here's a nice one. T. Kogan said, after dinner, that's at lunchtime in England, rest a while. After supper, which is dinner, in walk a mile. Yeah. So let's think about this and let's just go, I am responsible for a lot of my health. I know I'm not totally in control. The big guy up there is. But I do know that I am accountable. Nobody else is going to help bring my blood pressure down. If I don't take the pills, if I don't do the right things, my blood pressure is not going to come down. If I don't get enough sleep, my blood pressure is not going to come down. If I don't let go of some of the things on my to-do list, my blood pressure is not going to come down. So it's on me. I pushed it up. But there is also that part of me that goes, maybe, you know, that was right. Maybe after the fire and everything and all the moving 3 times in a month and all that stuff, maybe my blood pressure did go up that long ago and it's just stayed there because I didn't know it was up. I didn't do anything. How about this one? John F. Kennedy said, physical fitness is not only one of the most important keys to a healthy body, it's the basis of dynamic and creative intellectual activity. Well, that is wonderful to hear. Ginny's saying she's going in for her second shot. Which one did you have the first time, Ginny? Just so that we know. And again, remember that overall, I am somebody who does not stress a great deal. All right, I pride myself in that. But my blood pressure went up. I am somebody who's managed to keep the diet under control enough that I have not become diabetic, but my blood pressure went up. I am somebody who I consider lives a pretty balanced life, but the silent killer was there and I didn't know it. So think about that. And think about the fact that we can be doing all the right things and still not know that our blood pressure is totally, well, mine wasn't totally out of control. Mine was just higher than it should be. And so, I'm on a mission to get it back under control and get off those pills. I've done it before, I can do it again. And it just requires that I behave, that I behave myself. And so Jodie is making sure I take it, and report in. But my attitude is if I do that, you also do it. All right, it's two-way trade. And my challenge to Jodie is to be able to go outside before summer is over and just literally find a shady place to sit and play with her fluff ball. As many days as possible, as soon as she is able to walk that far, to literally make that part of her day so she gets in, that fresh air that she so desperately needs to be healthy and to continue to be healthy. And also for the joy of being able to do it. I'm looking forward to getting that picture. All right, and Jeannie's saying, warning, if you stop high blood pressure medication without speaking to your doctor, you can get very ill. Yes, I wouldn't dream of doing it without consulting my doctor. It's like same with antidepressants, if you've ever been on antidepressants. However, sometimes you are told to get off them in a hurry. I was told once to get off my antidepressant in a hurry in the days when I took one. And once, the last time I was on blood pressure, my doctor said, I need you to stop taking these immediately. So there wasn't any wean yourself off them. It was, I need you to stop taking them immediately, which is why, Jeannie, I've got the blood pressure machine. I don't want my blood pressure to go so low and wait 3 months to go see my doctor. I want to know that I am now in range again. And then, if it stays in range, that's fine. But if it starts dropping below my range, this time I'm very accountable. But thank you again for caring enough. Wow, you ran out of blood pressure once, meds once, and wound up in hospital. I want to tell you that today, I'm pretty sure, Jeannie, that you are aware and probably did this already, but if you run out of any medication, you can go to your pharmacy and just go and get an emergency supply. You do know that, right? I've done it a number of times. Oops, I ran out of pills. I need some for the week. So that gives you time to get to your medical provider and get it renewed. And maybe not everybody knows that. And I want to tell you, having a good relationship with your pharmacist is a really good thing to have. Yeah, it happened to you in the time when you were unaware. Exactly. And that's how we teach each other things, right, Jeannie? Through our experiences. And so just know that, everybody who's listening to this, if you run out of your medications and you can't get to see your doctor in the next 24 hours, go to your pharmacy. They know what you're on, and they are I think even legally bound to give you a week's supply. And I want to tell you, I have had more help on things from my pharmacist than I can tell you. I had one actually pick up something that was wrong in a prescription that was given to me by a doctor, not my present one, but by another one. He saw that that guy had prescribed something, and he knew I could not take that. Interesting, right? My pharmacy knew. And he said to me, is it okay with you if I talk to your doctor? And I said, from the way you're asking me that, I think it's essential that you talk to my doctor. I don't know what's wrong, but you go right ahead. And he gave him a mouthful of words in a very polite, professional way. But you knew the answer was, listen, moron, did you not read her chart? She's not allowed to take that. When he'd finished, I said, thank you. So the stress that we have in our lives affects us whether we know it or not. It affects us whether we know it or not. And again, remember that your blood pressure can become your silent killer. Why? It didn't give me any warning that my blood pressure was up. I wasn't necessarily feeling any different in a way. You know, quite honestly, I'd had so much stress that it was just, I feel normal. You see, being stressed was the new normal. However well I was coping with it, but it still was having an effect on my body, and I didn't know about it. So, hope this has been helpful. I hope one person listens to this and goes, thank you, Sal. I'm going to go and get my blood pressure checked. And if that person is you, please do me a favor and let me know. Because then I will know it was worth having it as a subject. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have a wonderful week. Remember to keep your stress levels under control. Remember that you are responsible for your health. You don't get fat and you're ill and all these things, save by two things. Number one, part of it's genetic. The other part of it is on us. So let's all go back to doing the best we can. You don't have to make any major changes. Do you think I managed to drink 3 of these bottles yesterday? No, but I did do 2. And that would be that much more today. I think I can do that. And so I'm working towards 1 gallon a day. I feel like I'm floating and that I need a couple of oars, but because I'm swimming in water. But maybe I need what are they called? Armbands, inflatable ones. But the thing I want to know is, does it really help you lose weight? And we're going to know because I made sure that I made a note in my system how much I weighed when I started trying to increase the amount of water without changing my diet, just increase the amount of water. And I want to see, does it make a difference? I'll let you know, of course. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, hey, have a great week. Control your stress, please. Remember that your blood pressure can be a silent killer if you don't keep a track of it. And whether your doctor decides to take your blood pressure or not, you make sure you take yours. Don't fall into the trap that I fell into. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, we'll see you on Friday. Look after one another, but hey, please, 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 remember to look after yourself. And I will do a better job of it in the coming year. Bye-bye for now.